GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, Toronto. I'm Jordan Parker. We're celebrating the CN Tower's 50th anniversary today while traffic's heavy around the city thanks to World Cup road closures. And the Pride Festival kicks off this weekend, bringing vibrant energy to our streets. Over to you, Nathan.
The Toronto Pride Festival kicks off this Friday, running through Sunday, with a weekday parade, evening concerts at Nathan Phillips Square, and daytime community workshops across the city.
Admission to all main stage performances is free, and a designated family-friendly zone will be set up near the Harbourfront Centre, offering crafts and storytelling.
The Pride Parade will start at 10 a.m., traveling east along Queen Street West, passing through Kensington Market before concluding at the historic Distillery District for celebrations.
Lots to get to. Let's begin our news journey together, keeping the celebration spirit alive as we dive into today's updates. Good morning, Toronto.
Yesterday, the CN Tower marked its half-century in the sky with a day of public festivities that drew locals and tourists alike. Organizers staged live music on the plaza, a light show that traced the tower's silhouette, and guided tour that highlighted its engineering milestones since opening in 1976. Families gathered for a ribbon-cut ceremony at the observation deck, while food vendors offered a taste of Toronto's neighborhoods. The celebration also featured a commemorative exhibit at the nearby visitor center, showcasing archival photos and stories of the tower's role in the city's identity. City officials praised the landmark's lasting appeal, noting its place on the skyline has become a symbol of Toronto's growth. As the final fireworks faded, visitors left with a shared sense of pride in the structure that has watched the city evolve for 50 years.
Firefighters from Toronto Fire Services tackled a blaze yesterday at about 4:27 p.m. in a high-rise apartment building on 47 Thorncliffe Park Drive in the East York neighborhood. Smoke had been reported from a unit on the 20th floor, prompting a rapid response. Crews entered the building, isolated the fire to the affected unit, and extinguished it without the flames spreading to other floors. No injuries were reported and residents were safely evacuated as a precaution. Toronto Fire Services dispatched 4 engine companies and a ladder unit within minutes of the call, and the operation lasted roughly 1 hour. The 15-story tower, built in the early 2000s, houses about 200 units occupied by families and seniors. Neighborhood residents gathered outside, watching as firefighters completed ventilation and cleanup. The city's Office of Emergency Management will review the incident for fire safety compliance.
Toronto Police Service is briefing the public on how to move through the packed Pride weekend crowds. Inspector Trish Johnston outlined advice on using transit, staggered arrival times, and designated walking routes to keep flow steady. Officers note that thousands of visitors are expected as the city hosts Pride celebrations alongside FIFA World Cup matches and a slate of other events, creating an unusually high attendance for Toronto. Police recommend checking real-time subway updates, riding the Eglinton Crosstown where possible, and allowing extra travel time to popular venues such as Church Wellesley and the waterfront. They also advise staying aware of crowd control points and following officer directions at bottlenecks. Uniformed officers will be stationed at major subway stations and along the parade route to field questions and direct foot traffic. The guidance is being rolled out throughout the weekend to help keep movement smooth and safety high.
Yesterday, the Ontario Provincial Police announced the arrest of 3 men from the Greater Toronto Area on drug trafficking charges after seizing an estimated $4.7 million worth of narcotics. The operation, part of a broader investigation into cross-provincial smuggling between Ontario and Quebec, resulted in a coordinated raid that recovered the shipment before it entered the market. Police say the seized material includes high-grade cocaine and fentanyl, valued at $4.7 million at street price. All three suspects are now facing multiple offenses, including possession for the purpose of trafficking and importation. OPP officials emphasized the case underscores ongoing efforts to disrupt organized drug networks operating across provincial borders. The operation involved coordinated efforts from OPP regional units and local police across several GTA neighborhoods. Authorities will present the evidence to a provincial court next week.
City Council voted Tuesday night to expand the car-free experiment on Church Street, moving the pedestrian-only zone beyond the initial stretch tested earlier this month. The stretch runs between King and Spadina, intersecting the historic theater district. The motion, backed by a majority of councillors, follows a pilot that barred vehicles from a downtown block for several weeks, prompting a surge of foot traffic and street-level activity. Officials say the expansion responds to strong public demand for more pedestrian-oriented spaces in the core. The proposal would add adjacent intersections to the car-free corridor, keeping delivery vehicles on designated loading bays while allowing cyclists to share the widened pathway. Council will forward the plan to the mayor's office for final approval, with implementation slated for the coming weeks as the city continues to assess traffic impacts and safety data.
Later, we'll hear why a Whitehorse winger was the top pick in the draft, plus more local news. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad you're still with us. Let's dive into what's happening around town, and now Nathan Cole takes over with local stories.
Early this morning, at about 5:20 a.m., a two-vehicle collision unfolded at the busy Spadina Avenue and Dundas Street intersection in Chinatown. Traffic on Spadina was briefly halted, causing delays for commuters heading to downtown offices. Emergency crews arrived promptly to tend to the scene, but the two male occupants of one vehicle abandoned the wreckage and fled on foot. Toronto Police Service launched a manhunt shortly after, canvassing nearby streets and reviewing surveillance footage to identify the suspects. Officers confirmed that both men are still at large and have not been taken into custody. The investigation remains ongoing as detectives piece together the circumstances that led to the crash and subsequent flight. Residents in the neighborhood are being asked to remain vigilant and report any information that could assist police in locating the individuals.
Yesterday, the Toronto Maple Leafs made history at the NHL entry draft in Buffalo, New York, by choosing local-grown winger Gavin McKenna with the first overall pick. McKenna, a 19-year-old from Whitehorse, impressed scouts with his speed and scoring touch, earning the top slot that the Leafs secured after a strong season. The selection gives Toronto fans a fresh face to rally behind as the team rebuilds, and it sparks conversation at morning coffee spots and on commuter trains about the next generation of talent. Parents with budding hockey players hear a clear example of where dedication can lead, while downtown bars already buzz with predictions on how McKenna's style will blend with the Leafs' core. The draft's outcome sets the tone for the upcoming season and keeps the city's hockey chatter alive.
Hotel occupancy across the city slipped noticeably during the opening fortnight of the World Cup, the Toronto Hotel Industry Group reported. From June 8 to 21, demand lagged behind the same period last year, leaving a higher proportion of rooms empty despite Toronto's status as a host city. Analysts noted that the usual booking surge associated with the tournament failed to materialize, prompting some operators to adjust staffing and pricing. The shortfall affects not only travelers, but also local workers who rely on the influx of visitors for evening shifts in restaurants and transportation. Nearby cafes and souvenir shops also reported slower sales as fewer guests lingered after matches. While officials remain confident the remainder of the tournament will draw crowds, the early dip underscores the volatility that can accompany large-scale events for the city's hospitality sector.
Toronto's new professional women's basketball team, the Tempo, will host its inaugural Pride game this afternoon at 2 p.m., matching the Phoenix Mercury on the court. At the same time, the city's long-standing Dyke March will roll through the gay village, putting LGBTQ+ supporters in a tight spot. Fans who want to cheer the home team and those who plan to walk the march will have to split their day, as both events occupy the same 2-hour window. Organizers of the game highlighted the match as a celebration of inclusion, while march leaders emphasized the historic walk's significance for visibility. The overlap means families, friends, and allies may need to plan separate outings or choose one event over the other. With traffic expected to surge around the village, commuters should anticipate heavier congestion in the downtown core.
Patrick King Mwesijai, a Toronto Pride ambassador, founded an organization that provides housing, legal aid, and community connections for newly arrived Black SLGBTQ+ refugees. He fled persecution in Uganda, arrived in Canada in 2022, and spent time living on the streets before securing stable housing. Drawing on that experience, he created a refugee support group that matches newcomers with mentors, helps them navigate immigration paperwork, and offers safe spaces for social integration. The group works with community centers and volunteers to host guests for short stays. Local service providers say the initiative reduces pressure on shelters and helps newcomers contribute to the neighborhood more quickly. Since its launch, the program has helped dozens of families, working with local shelters to move clients into permanent housing. Hosts say they gain insight into diverse cultural traditions, enriching neighborhood ties.
Now let's check the skies and see how the weather will shape our afternoon.
A deepening low and a swift western jet are shaping a clear, mild June Saturday across Toronto. The all-time June 27 high for Toronto sits at 33.2 degrees, recorded in 2016 during a lingering heat wave that pushed daily maxima into the mid-30s. The record low, 12.3 degrees, fell in 2017 when an Arctic blast slipped south behind a stalled front, dumping temperatures well below the climatological norm. Normal highs for this date hover around 22 degrees, with lows near 14, so today's expected 20 degrees feels comfortably above average but far from the historic extremes. The live radar screen shows a completely quiet atmosphere across southern Ontario. No rain echoes appear and the reflectivity map is blank. That emptiness stems from a high-pressure ridge drifting eastward, capped by a low-level inversion that suppresses lift. With the jet stream aloft racing westward at roughly 138 km per hour, any moisture would be sheared away before reaching the city. Expect clear skies to hold through the afternoon and evening. At noon the city sits at 19 degrees with a clear sky and a humid 80% atmosphere. A gentle southeast breeze of 5 km per hour keeps the air moving, while low pressure is falling, inviting unsettled weather later in the week. Overhead, a strong westward jet stream thunders at roughly 138 km per hour, venting moisture eastward and reinforcing today's dryness. The UV index reads 7, indicating a fairly high solar intensity. Temperatures will climb to 20 degrees by mid-afternoon before slipping back toward 19 as the sun sets near 9 o'clock. No precipitation is forecast and no alerts are active. With the ridge holding, we now shift to the 5-day outlook. Looking ahead, tomorrow brings a sunny day with a high of 24 and a low of 14, keeping the clear sky uninterrupted. Monday's high climbs to 25 while clouds thicken, delivering overcast conditions and a low near 17. Tuesday shifts dramatically as fog rolls in, limiting visibility despite a high of 32 and a low of 20. Wednesday erupts into heat, reaching a blistering high of 35 with a low of 28 under clear skies, the strongest warmth of the period. Thursday remains hot and dry, high 33, low 28 and clear throughout. The weekend promises a gradual cooling trend, but the jet stream will continue to steer dry air, limiting any chance of rain. That wraps the extended outlook. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts.
World Cup road closures will jam traffic, Pride Festival events are heating up, and Sweet Crumbs opens in the junction. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Major road closures are hitting downtown Toronto as Exhibition Place gears up for the FIFA World Cup. Strachan Avenue, Fleet Street, and Lakeshore Boulevard West are all shut, forcing traffic onto the Gardiner and the Don Valley Parkway. Expect heavy queues from the Queen, Quay eastward, and a bottleneck at the Prince Edward Viaduct. Drivers heading west on Lakeshore Road should anticipate stop-and-go conditions through the harborfront area. Outside the core, most arterial routes are moving freely, so commuters can use Bloor Street or the Allen Road corridor to bypass downtown. On transit, the 311 Bathurst streetcar is running on a temporary schedule, with reduced frequency during the morning peak. The 989 Weston Express has service adjustments. Some trips are terminating early at Keele Station. Conversely, the 509 Harborfront line is seeing improved service, with extra streetcars added to handle the event crowd. Looking ahead, congestion will linger through the early afternoon around the exhibition grounds. Plan extra travel time if you must cross the lakefront, and consider alternate routes or the enhanced Harborfront service to stay on schedule.
Toronto Pride Festival weekend erupts in Church Wellesley Village today, turning the streets into a three-day celebration of love, music, and community, a must-see for anyone looking to soak up the city's most vibrant energy. It's the perfect excuse to grab a friend and paint the town rainbow. If you're hunting a quieter escape, the brand-new book bar has just opened its doors, offering cozy corners and shelves stacked with fresh titles, perfect for a midday recharge or an evening wind down. Looking ahead, keep an eye on the stage when heated rivalry. The unauthorized musical parody lands in Toronto on July 9, promising a cheeky, laugh-filled take on classic showdowns that will spark conversation long after the curtain falls. Whether you're dancing in the parade, flipping a page, or planning your next night out, today's lineup gives you a taste of the city's pulse and a hint of what's coming. And now here's Marcus with sports.
Here's the latest on Toronto's teams and the games shaping our summer. After a loss to the Texas Rangers, analysts Hazel Mee and Arden Zwelling say the Blue Jays must sharpen their approach against opposing starters like Patrick Corbin. They argue more aggressive early offense could turn tight games into wins, a priority as the season unfolds. Frank Saravalli broke down the off-season chatter surrounding the Jets and Maple Leafs, noting how close both clubs came to moving key assets on draft night. He highlighted potential deals involving goaltender Connor Hellebuyck and forward Matthew Knies, underscoring the high stakes of the selections. Toronto's first overall pick, winger Gavin McKenna, entered the draft spotlight in blue and white and described the moment as beyond his expectations. He acknowledged the pressure of leading the Maple Leafs forward, yet affirmed he's ready to embrace the challenge.
Sweet Crumbs in Toronto's Junction just turned its first key, opening its doors this week with a menu of gluten-free vegan pastries. Owner Chef Maya Patel saw a gap in the neighborhood for allergy-friendly treats and built a shop that sources flour and fruit from farms just a short ride away. She hired 5 local staff, turning the bakery into a new hub for the Junction's growing health-conscious crowd. The launch lines up with the city's Healthy Eating Initiative, giving residents a tasty way to support local agriculture while staying safe from common allergens. It's more than a bakery, it's a reminder that Toronto's diversity thrives when everyone can share a slice. And now a sweet slice of joy as Sweet Crumbs opens its doors in the Junction, brightening the neighborhood.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From City Hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on GMna for the local Sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
Toronto's beloved Maple Leafs have selected Whitehorse winger Gavin McKenna with the #1 overall pick, igniting excitement across the city and heralding a new era of talent. The ceremony at Scotiabank Arena in the entertainment district drew a packed crowd of fans and former champions. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, Jordan Parker. The roar of the crowd washes over me as I stand virtually on the lower bowl of Scotiabank Arena, the arena lights blazing like a sunrise over the entertainment district. Fans in blue and white wave banners, their faces lit by the massive video board flashing the Maple Leafs logo. The announcer's voice cuts through the din, with the first overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft. A hush falls, then erupts as the spotlight lands on 18-year-old Gavin McKenna, the Whitehorse winger who has been the talk of every backyard rink. Pop star Justin Bieber steps onto the stage, his grin wide, and hands the draft card to McKenna, prompting a wave of cheers and a flash of cameras. The energy spikes, the arena echoing with chants of "We want more," as the new rookie lifts his cap in disbelief. For a city that lives and breathes hockey, McKenna's selection feels like a new chapter for a generation of Leafs fans. Carl Dumont virtually at Scotiabank Arena.
At BMO Field on the downtown waterfront, the stands swelled with a kaleidoscope of red, green, and white as supporters from Senegal and Iraq streamed in from the airport, the subway, and local neighborhoods. The air was thick with the scent of grilled suya and fragrant za'atar, while a teenage drumming troupe from the Senegalese community set a lively rhythm that blended with the soft chant of a small group reciting verses from the Quran. Children in matching jerseys swapped scarves, and a mother from Toronto's Little Italy offered each fan a slice of homemade focaccia, a reminder that the city's food streets are as diverse as its fans. When the whistle blew for the final group stage match of the 2026 World Cup, the two crowds rose together, their cheers overlapping in a single resonant roar that echoed across the lake. In that instant, the rivalry faded, replaced by shared laughter and a collective hope that the beautiful game can bridge worlds. Toronto's spirit shines brightest when we celebrate together.
In the heart of Kensington Market, beneath the awnings of a bustling coffee shop, a small crowd gathered around a modest wooden table where Liberal MP Nate Erskine-Smith had just finished speaking. He announced his decision to step aside from the Ontario Liberal leadership race, not because he lacked ambition, but because he believed the party needed fresh, diverse voices to energize the next generation of leaders. A teenage volunteer from a local climate action group whispered, "He's giving us space to lead," while an elderly resident who had watched the neighborhood evolve over decades nodded with quiet approval. The air was filled with the scent of espresso and the soft murmur of conversations shifting from policy to possibility. Erskine-Smith's choice sparked a ripple of optimism. He pledged to return his focus to the parliamentary work that first brought him to public service, advocating for clean energy legislation and community-based initiatives. In that moment, the market's rhythm seemed to echo a collective belief that leadership is as much about stepping back as it is about stepping forward. And so, as the afternoon sun filtered through the storefronts, the community felt a renewed confidence that the future will be shaped by many hands, each willing to listen and act.
Thanks for joining us, Toronto. Tonight's highlight was the Maple Leafs' historic #1 overall pick, Whitehorse winger Gavin McKenna, a moment that captured the city's excitement. I'm Jordan Parker, wishing you a great afternoon. Tune in tomorrow for more stories that matter to our community.